Welcome, dear learners. Welcome to the lecture series on investment management. Dear learners, today I would like to discuss a concept called investment information sources. Most important concept. See, when you want to invest your funds, you want some information about where to invest, in which platform to park the money. So, an investor must have adequate knowledge about the investment alternatives and markets before making any kind of investments. Now, from where these information is gathered? What are the various sources available to the investor so that he can make use of these sources in order to gain knowledge on where to invest? So, the various sources from which an investor can gather the investment information are, see, there are newspapers and investment dailies. You have different newspapers like Economic Times, Business Lines, which publishes loads of information about the investment avenues. Newspapers serve a good information source for many investors. Even till today, people rely on for their investment on news given in the newspapers. In the newspapers like Economic Times and the newspapers like Economic Times and Business Line, these are purely dedicated towards the business. Most of the people, they go through these papers. They try to understand what is going on, what is going around. They try to study the situation of the companies, position of the companies, which serves as a good information for them to make their investments. So this is how newspapers and investment dailies serve a good source of information for investments. You also have magazines and journals. Business magazines contribute good amount of information for making investment decisions. Good journals where they will be publishing informations related to the funds, securities which are performing, or journals are a platform where people discuss about various issues, which in turn serve as a good information sources to the investors. And industry reports. We have discussed this concept in the lecture series on financial management, the difference between industry and the company. Industry is a group of companies, whereas a company is a single unit. Industry reports speak about how a particular industry is performing. We have various industries like pharmaceutical industries, automobile industries, manufacturing industry, FMCGs, etc., etc. So these reports speak about the companies which come under the purview of this industry and their performance, which serves as a good information again for making investment decisions. Not only these sources, but also there are various other sources through which people seek information before making their investment decisions. The key takeaway from this particular concept is that information plays a crucial role in the investment decision process. And without investment information, you cannot make or you cannot park your money in a good platform. So now once we are done with this investment information sources, let us try to understand what are the factors to be considered while investing. Dear learners, when you want to invest your funds, people should consider, as an investor, you need to consider, take care of these following factors. The first factor, when people want to invest, they always are back of return. The first question people wants to be addressed is, what is the return? If we invest the funds, what percentage of return we will be getting and when we will be getting. So return is an important factor which judges whether to invest or not. Then comes risk. Whatever activity you do, there is risk. The sole objective of any investor is to minimize the risk so that you can maximize the return. If you can minimize the risk, then you can maximize the return, because these two terms are interrelated. There exists a relationship between risk and return. If you minimize risk, you will maximize return. If you take a high risk, then it is going to be less return. Then comes liquidity. Liquidity is an important factor. Liquidity is how fast you can encash your securities where you have invested. Then comes maturity. See, maturity refers to the time period for which you have invested your funds. It plays an important role in the calculation of return and determining the risk. Then comes safety. Whenever people invest, they also see this future in the investment. People generally don't prefer to park their funds in unsafe platforms. For example, if a company is going into losses, they don't feel safe to invest in such companies. So the safety factor is most important for investments. Then comes an important factor called inflation. So inflation leads to, or it diminishes the future consumption possibility. Inflation is defined as the general rise in the prices of the commodities. As an investor, you always expect to invest your current funds with an anticipation of maximizing your future consumption possibilities so that you get rid of this inflation factor. So these are some factors to be considered while investing. I hope you understood today's session. Let us sum up what we have studied in today's session. We started understanding the investment information sources, various sources that are available for the investor to seek information before he invests, like newspapers, investment dailies, magazines and journals, industry reports, published and unpublished materials, etc., etc. Then we have understood what factors are to be considered while investing. Like we have seen, return, risk, liquidity, maturity, safety, inflation are the important factors which are to be considered while investing. So that's all for today. We'll be back with a new lecture in this investment management series. Till then, good day, goodbye.